time for Geocache Talk. Whether you are at work, in the car, or wherever you are, we hope you enjoy this show about the great sport of geocaching. If you're watching live on YouTube, you can be part of the adventure tonight in the chat room and participate with others as they watch the show. If you are listening later, please give it a like and subscribe on your favorite podcasting app so that you can get all of the weekly Geocache Talk goodness. If you have not become a patron of the Geocache Talk Network, what are you waiting for? Patron levels start as low as a Bison Tube level at $3 a month. To sign up is easy. Simply go to the Geocache Talk website and click on the Become a Patron button, or go to patreon.com/Geocache Talk. Patrons now get the famous Blackout coin, invites to special events, and other really great items throughout the year. Become a patron today. Have you subscribed to FTF Magazine yet? FTF Magazine is the #1 geocaching magazine available. It is a quarterly magazine that you can be part of. Submit your geocaching milestones and adventures to be published. FTF Magazine is also interactive with puzzles to solve and the hunt to find Spartacus. If you can solve the puzzle or find Spartacus, then you will be entered in to win a special pack tag. Every new subscription, you will receive a special swag pack. Subscribing is easy. Just visit FTF's website, ftfgeo.com. Don't miss out and subscribe today.
And sponsored by smashingpennies.net. Get 10% off your order with code Geocache Talk Network. They are perfect to put in a geocache. Big thanks to Derek, Baker 6 Clan, for the graphics, and our featured patrons, Mika Put, Zero Ridland Kids 0. Yeah, that's it. Thumper G and Texas Care Bear, Gas Station Tuna, Runner Casher, DeTruck, Little Miss Sunshine, Whiskey, AWOL, Sackishness, and our new patron, Four-Cycle. Yeah, I love the Zero Ridland Kids. Danielle's got the O with a 0, then an R, then an X, then a K, then an X, then an R, then an O. It's like, it's great. I was like, where'd you get that? And she was like, oh, I think it was her gamer, like a gamer thing. So she just kept it. It's like all of us, like yours is different. Yours has got like panache. Mine,
I made mine up specifically for this game.
Yes. Where mine was just, I don't know. I'm getting into geocaching. I'll just use my typical login at work. And that was kind of, very bad, but
when you've had it so long now, you don't want to change it.
Yeah. Now, G-Slink is kind of a, I guess, I don't know if I'm blocking somebody else that has, something like it, but it's mine now. So anyway, all right, let's get this show on the road. Let's do some news. Quick mention, Geocache Talk. Boy, I'm really going well to this today. Cache Fest. Go to cachefest.com. Check out the packages. Check out the Friends of Cache Fest. You get to join. You get to design your own coin. You get some other cool perks. So definitely want to check that out. And that one's limited. As I mentioned before, if you're not quite sure on which package, you got, a month or so to decide on that. But you want to kind of jump on the Friends of. They are going quick, and we're only going to do 75. So now you don't have to make really any other decisions right now. You just want to get in to the Friends of. Later on, you'll get more instructions on how to design your own the coin, and then all of the Friends of will be able to design their own coin. And I guarantee you, kind of like what happened at CoinFest, I think, was everybody wanted to dive in and trade. So
right,
yeah, it worked out great. So we're excited about that. The other item I wanted to mention. Also the side events are all published. If you want a list, go to the Cache Fest Oklahoma GC, I'll grab it and put it up on the screen here in a moment, all except for the CETO, but we are set to go for all the side events, including 4th of July, fireworks celebration, and lots of cool stuff, especially the Friday event. The Friday event is going to be a night at the Noble. It's going to be awesome. We're already building for that. We have already a good troupe of actors that'll be doing a recreation of the night at the museum. They're an excited bunch, and I'm excited with them to be able to put that on for you. We are filling slots. I could use a couple more Neanderthals. Jesse,
Yeah.
interested?
I think I'll be, yeah, I don't care. I'll do it.
Okay. So we need, if we got, I'd like to get one more. It would be me and Jesse currently. It's, TBD, but
I can be a Neanderthal. That'll work.
yeah. So me and Jesse are Neanderthal. I was gonna be a cowboy, but I don't think I fit that mold. I think we got somebody else who's gonna be the Jedediah, to Owen Wilson, the Owen Wilson character.
There you
And
go.
Pizza Ninja is going to be the Roman centurion. So I think
That sounds about right.
that'll work great. So
Yeah.
that'll be fun. We got the run of the museum. They're excited to have us there, and it's going to be great. It's going to be a great night.
That's going to be fun.
Yeah, that'll be fun. That'll be a fun night. So I'm sure that the giant Easter Island statue might make an appearance. So, and there'll be a 10-stage adventure lab, and you're going to have to figure it out. You have to figure it out like we did before. You'll have to come. You'll have to interact with the all the exhibits that have come to life and answer it that way. And there'll be no easy answers, so it'll be fun. It'll be a full night.
Yeah, it'll be a fun
on
event.
Friday the 5th. So the other news item I wanted to mention was that mob caches have been retired.
Yeah, that's sad.
In that,
I know a lot of people didn't use them, but I've used them several times and I've used them for different things, for caches and different cache types and everything.
Yeah. Now, did you get to do one of them, or?
Yeah, I've done them and built and published them.
Have you really? Wow. Now I've done them.
Yeah.
I liked it because I tend to, my style is I like to go out and cache with a group.
Right. They're perfect for that.
Yeah. Being a social butterfly, we had a ball because and if you get a group together that like you cache, you start to cache more often, then the ribbing and the never ending things like that was just fun because we were really we were jostling each other going, hey, you need to get over, because we're like, well, if you're not in the right spot, we can't get this done. And people are like, I'm trying to get, you're trying to get your to
they're fun. Up. Do we know the story behind why they're retired, or just not enough people using them to justify it?
No, I think the note I saw was that they're having technical issues that they couldn't get past. So
that's a lot of caches are going to be out there.
I was surprised to know there were some folks. I saw one note. Somebody had like 60 of them or something. Something outrageous. So I was like, wow. I mean, and they were a little miffed they didn't hear about it. But I mean, I'm sure the person that I don't know if it's Chili Head or owned that and tried to. But I'm sure they tried to. It wasn't like they're trying to mess with anybody. They were trying to fix it.
Right, and they were doing it for free for people.
Right. So, let's not go too crazy, folks.
Yeah. I mean, it would be quite a bummer if you had a bunch of them and all of a sudden your cat, they're gone. But
no, you're right.
At the same time, it is what it is.
Yeah. So kind of sad. So, all right. Well, let's dive into this. First we got to figure out. I was going to call it the GeoCache project to try to distinguish audioly the difference between, because we're not talking about geocaches for the most part tonight. We're going to talk some, but for the most part, we're talking about GEOCAC.
Yeah.
And what that term is, in case anybody was wondering, is when someone finds a benchmark and it's reported that you found a benchmark and it wants to be put into the documentation, you are referred to as a GeoCAC. That's the code word for a geocacher who finds a benchmark, in case you were wondering. And so the gentleman it's the official agency code for geocachers who report their benchmark recoveries to the National Geodetic Survey.
Yeah.
In case you were wondering. Now, the person who started this project, Geo Trailblazer 1, sadly passed away a few years ago. So the project is sort of, I think is gone, is sort of gone away now. I tried to contact some folks. I don't know if it's got any more life in it or not. But what are your initial thoughts as we kind of start to get into this? What's your initial thought about this benchmark project?
So it's kind of interesting because, I liked benchmarks. I like going and finding benchmarks when they had it as part of geocaching.
Yeah,
now,
me too.
The day they canceled it from geocaching, it was the last day I ever found one.
Right.
I never have found one since then. Well, that's not true. I've found them. I haven't reported it anywhere.
Right.
So, but I used to go specifically hunting for them because I thought it was a really neat part of the game that seemed to be more of a throwback to the olden. I need that light shining there. I need to try to stay to this side.
You're fine.
But it, to me, because it was so vague, it was kind of like letterboxing or something where, you had some vague directions.
Right.
And most of the ones I'd found had never been found before.
Right.
Right. So some of them were gone, some of them were there. To me, I thought it was almost more geocaching than a lot of geocaching.
Sure.
Like we talked about recently, the virtual stuff. To me, that was almost more geocaching in my head than a lot of the virtual stuff. Because you're finding something and it's a description, it's hard, it's not exact location. The GPS coordinates that are in there are a general idea.
Yeah.
Right. So, and it says it should be at the crossroads of this and that. And, well, things have changed so much since it's been out there. To me, it was a really cool part of geocaching. Now, unfortunately, it was never something that caught on. They didn't, and it's only in the U.S., right? These
benchmarks,
only in the U.S., so it's not around the world. And I can see why, being a global game, I guess, time wasn't sunk into developing it further. Because it would only hit part of the audience, right? It's exclusively for the U.S. I know other countries have.
Yeah, they have some similar. Yeah, they have some.
Not everybody.
Not all of them do, but some of them.
No.
Yeah, England does. Some others do. Yeah.
So that kind of fell off, right? So this project started while geocaching still had it listed on their site, and you didn't get credit like a true smiley for it, but it still is listed on the left side where all the finds are, right? When you go to your profile.
Right. And now you did a thing too, where being a challenge addict that you are, you found a certain amount of benchmarks to fulfill a challenge requirement, correct?
Yes. It was, I think 250, 300, something like that. But okay. That's what got me kind of into messing with them in the first place, was for a challenge, which shocker. That's how we get into most things, right? Some weird challenge to find something weird you haven't done. And you get into it. I ended up with about exactly 500 at the end. I got a round number just so I could stop before they locked it up. But again, because it's not a stat that's currently, and there's no easy way to get to it. Like when it was listed on geocaching and all these, you can find on Geocache's website. It was then this project. That's when this project got started. This GeoCache, whatever you want to call it, project got started. Right.
We're going to call it GeoCac because apparently getting some ribbing. If we call it geocache, then it's Bob Billy. So
geocache. Yeah. So I think when the project started,
yes.
Let's go back to then. Assume that we're in that time.
Yeah.
Awesome idea. I think it's great anytime, and especially anytime that we can, as geocachers as a group, do something that helps another organization or have a tie to another organization like the Geodetic Survey or whatever.
Right.
That's a cool thing. It's a cool designation. That's a cool thing to have. And then spreading those across the U.S. is a great idea when it's tied into the game. Right?
Yeah.
So we're talking about when this started. I think it's an awesome idea when it started. Because one, it would be a cache in all 50 states, which people love to get caches from all 50 states, like Cache Across America, right? It's a series across everything else. There would be challenges based on it, I'm sure.
There's
it's a neat mark out there for people to see. It's a theoretically a permanent mark for geocaching, right? I mean, unless something happens, that could stay there forever, I assume. I don't think that would ever wear out.
Right.
Not going to go away unless the property's sold or something, and it would be neat to have all 50 states like that. It'd be a cool project, really cool project.
Yeah. It's obviously, even from the beginning, it's geocaching adjacent, right?
Yes.
Because it's not a cache. It, I guess it's similar to the tags people find that people put out. So there's.
What are those tags? I just saw a notification of that on my phone today.
We'll think of it, or the chat room will help us out. But yeah,
snag a tag. Oh,
snag a tag is also another one of those geocaching adjacent, different, but still it's sort of geocaching adjacent. So,
but this one's got the official logo on it. This should be more geocaching than geocaching adjacent.
Yeah, I think
it would be an awesome project. It could be updated to be an awesome project. I'll say it that way.
Yeah, and the thing too about it is that it's like you said, sort of, it's not. It reminds me a little bit of Caching Across America, because you want to do one in every state.
Mm-hmm.
That's different because those are actual geocaches. But I don't know. I like this. I liked his idea. It's sad. If people are wondering, we'll get into how many states he completed.
Yeah.
And we'll get into that here in a moment. But I don't know. It's something that I really liked. I mean, I want to try to find the ones that are out there. There's one not too far from you, I guess.
Yeah, it's a couple hours from me.
Yeah, a couple hours.
Obviously in Florida, so
yeah. But if you're ever up that way, you could put on your list.
I have been. Sadly, I have been up that way, but I haven't found it yet.
Well, that's fine. But you're not far. You go.
But I'll be there again. So
yeah, you'll be up there again sometime. So,
So let's before we even move to the future part of it.
Yeah.
Let's talk about. Let's assume that we're back. Was it 2009 when this started?
Yeah, let me take a look. I can show you the first one, or I can talk about the first one. Let me find that real quick.
While you're pulling that up, so is it value? Like, let's say that benchmarks are still on the site. Let's just assume back then. Sure. Is there value enough for this to be a big project to do across the country? Do you think it would add something cool to the game? Because that's a lot of coordination, right? You got to get people.
Oh, yeah.
They're working with, the local government to get this done, state government to get this done, to put them in, because they're putting them somewhere permanent, not like
in
the yard.
It must have been a lot of work. I think it does. Now, again, we're looking back through time to when, the third one was put in 2008.
Oh, geez.
So I'm sadly putting it in chronological order. Yeah, 2008 was the Wisconsin Missouri, I think wasn't the first, it might have been the second, but that was in 2008 as well. That's a good question. You're asking a good question. You're basically asking, is there benefit to the sport of geocaching to have these? Is that what you're trying to ask? Is that what the question?
Yeah. Does the benefit outweigh what it would take to keep these up and going? Because if you put something in like this, it needs to be permanent. This can't be changed.
Once it's in, yeah. The thing to remember is, and I think the first one was also in 2008, but I think was the Arizona one was considered, I think that was considered to be the first. Now this is different. This is something. The thing about these is that he was getting permission not only to place them, but also he was placing them in such a way that they were like, he was placing them like the geodetic survey folks did when they placed benchmarks,
right?
For the most part, because they were in the ground, cement, the whole 9 yards. They were made and designed to be permanent, and really the ones he did place, I think, are pretty permanent. I don't know if where anyone's.
Well, somebody's saying there's one in Minnesota.
There is near Brainerd.
Near Brainerd.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, Minnesota boys, correct.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. We'll get into the ones in a moment, because I got one that we need the Geocache Talk Network family to help with. But they were. And Josh found some of them. There's Josh. He unearthed the one in minute. Yeah. Yeah. He had the geocaching doc helped him on that too. They and his family, and they unearthed the one in Minnesota, which is cool. So clearly it was still there. I don't think they're going anywhere. So to get back to your,
they would only go somewhere if the land use changed.
Right.
So if it was in an area that got rezoned for something or sold or.
Yeah. I see what you're saying.
Like natural disaster, right?
Well, let me ask you this: do you know? And we'd have to check in this. I should have done this before the show, but do you know of any? Because what happens is a lot of the geodetic survey markers, the benchmarks, end up on private property, but they don't get removed. And we always mention, if you're going to go hunting for benchmarks, you have to double check whether you're going to be on public property or private property, because some of them are not accessible. You're not going to be able to go find it.
Yeah, they don't get removed from the database, even though they may be gone.
Well, that's the question. Do you think that some? I assume then some of them are just flat out dug up and removed.
Yeah, totally removed. Bought the property, dig it up, build a house, whatever they're doing it.
Yeah, it's sad people do
whatever else.
Yeah, I guess in today's world, we don't need. Back in the day, benchmarks were very important to determine, a lot of topographical. We've talked.
It's a historical thing for sure.
They're
neat. Is it neater that there's only a few of them out there, or would it be cooler if there was all 50 out there?
I think it'd be cooler if all 50.
Talking about rarity versus, something rare, not something common and easy to get.
It's extremely rare now. It's sort of like the ape cache, the ape caches. That's extremely rare. So if there was one in every state,
be less rare, but it'd be cool for a different way, right? Because there's only one in each state, and you're getting the one for the state, so you could collect. I don't know what kind of, if they would let you do a challenge for that or not. I would assume so. I don't see any reason why not. Because you have 50 to choose from. If you had to get 10 of them for the challenge,
people,
I'm sure they let you do that because it's not
the
an
rules,
list.
right, because the rules for challenges, it has to be achievable, all those kind of things. Somebody has to have done it before, yada yada.
Yeah.
So,
okay, so the value would be then it would add something else to the game, like Cash Across America. It would be a permanent type deal.
right.
Bunch of challenges would be based on it. I think you could, but them in and of themselves are not geocaches.
No. Now, I do have a list in the show list, and I'll put it up after the show. You can take a look. Most of them have a cache, even to this day, most of them have a geocache nearby, which makes perfect sense. And at least one of them, let me double check, at least one of them has a virtual at the benchmark.
That's what I was going to say. This would be a perfect,
Yes.
we're putting new virtuals out. This would be a great useful one if it's not already,
If they don't have one, I mean, that would be perfect to put a.
How many are we talking about out there?
Okay, so total geo what do we call it? Geocaches?
Mm-hmm.
Total geocaches: Florida, Wisconsin, Missouri, Arizona, Minnesota. 5.
There's only 5 out there.
5. Now, there is a potentially 6th one, and we'll talk about the 6th one in a few minutes. So stay tuned. But wait, there's more. So, Scouter 74, he's really on top of these two, and he's like, there's a virtual, there's 2 traditionals, 2 mystery. One of the originals was a multi, but it's not there anymore. It's been archived. So you can kind of go through and look at. It's kind of interesting to go back and look too, because you've got new caches in the area, and you can kind of go look at some of the information about some of the archived caches. And I've got a list of the archived and the new, so it's kind of interesting. There are some also that have, like the one Josh found in Minnesota. There's a cache nearby that I listed because it's the closest cache, I think, to
right.
And in his video, it was a great video. Definitely go check it out. Where in the meantime, while he's waiting, he was waiting for the GeoDoc to show up. He went and found the other. He's like, and it's kind of funny because he's like, because he hadn't found it at that point, and he's like, I wish the benchmark was as easy to find as this geocache, and he puts the geocache back and moves on. But
that's funny.
Yeah.
Well, theoretically, with the new virtuals out, somebody could put a virtual at every single one.
Oh yeah. One does have one, but yeah. The pretty sure the Wisconsin has a virtual. Yeah. Exactly. And he had coins made to sort of. You could see he had this project in mind, and he had he had a good game plan. He had coins made to help fund the process of making these, because they're not cheap. I'm
assuming not. I mean, it's a lot of work before you even get to the price. You've got to deal with the government and get a permanent location for it. Then you got to raise the funds for it.
Yeah. I don't know if Josh has the same one in mind that I have. I'll ask, but the one that we're going to need help with, because I don't think anybody's found it or logged it yet, at least in the geocaching community. And there should be one at, and it's in the show notes, but I'll mention it here. But Mount Greylock in Adams, Massachusetts is where there should be one. It's the top of a hill. I'm putting the chords in the chat room in case you want to go dig up those chords and look.
So it's out there, but there's no cache there.
There might be a cache there, but I don't know of anybody who's ever logged the GeoCache. I don't think anybody's ever, I don't see it listed anywhere other than his notes and some forums. I found this in some of the old 08, 09 geocaching forums where somebody mentions, and he says that it was put in the ground. And if it's put in the ground, it's a lot of effort, and it'll be a lot of effort to dig up. Plus, it's not on private property because it's at a memorial. There's a memorial at that location. So there is a in his note, a note that he wrote that I found was, he says, after sending emails about the new benchmark GeoCache, I have been given the final all set from the Massachusetts National Geodetic Survey's state geodetic advisor. And then he said he is going to be on hand for its placement. There are just a few loose ends that I need to tie up, like the best location in the area on top of Mount Greylock in Adams, Massachusetts. And he gives a Google Earth, and I went and grabbed the actual chords and he brought them to you. So
Joshua saying there's 7 in the ground.
Oh, okay, 7 then. Okay,
must be one we don't have listed now.
Yeah, it's the Veterans War Memorial Tower. Correct. Strict 2.
So you don't have any indication or pictures that it's actually in the ground. He just had permission to put it in the ground.
Right. Okay. I have some photos that are in the show notes. The Arizona one. I got pictures of that. There are obviously pictures of the others. They're I don't say they're found, incredibly often, but I think they're found fairly often. So the Wisconsin,
but as you know it right now from the research you've done,
yes,
the project is currently not active.
It's been done since, I guess, there's new caches being put out, but as far as the actual benchmarks, I don't think they haven't been put in the ground since, I think, 2008. There is there's this cache I'll put in the notes, but the Wisconsin one, there's a cache at that one. Oh, the rack one. Yeah. I forgot about that. You're right. Josh is right. So
they're not doing it just in the US then?
No, he had one. Someone, I couldn't find enough on that one, but there's one in Iraq. I forgot about that one. Yep. I don't know.
Obviously not through our National Geodetic Survey, but
no. And I don't really have a lot of information on that one. I'll add it if I can find some more info on it. I'll add them obviously the show notes, and I'll put that in the show notes as well. So the one I put in the notes right now is the Wisconsin benchmark. The person called it the benchmark cache. Astro D team has a couple of these, and it is, it's near the benchmark. So, but it's an actual cache. So, benchmark, he mentioned, obviously adds in the hints. The benchmark is not the cache. Find the container, sign the log, claim the smiley. Yeah.
So, usual. One, I think virtuals are an awesome idea for this.
Yeah.
2, is this a project? Let's put it this way. I guess 2 different questions, really.
Mm-hmm.
Should the project go on?
Right.
Is it worth it? And then 2, if somebody just revitalizes the project, and then 2, what would it look like? Because if you're going to start a project, this one's barely got started, right? If there's only 5 or 6 with permission so far.
Yeah.
And out of 50 states, or 51 if you include DC, but
mm-hmm.
1, should it go forward? And 2, what could it look like? What?
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't have to be the same thing it was originally. It could be something different, right? Like there's planned out virtuals at each one. There's, it could theoretically, like somebody already mentioned, it could be its own little icon type. Does it have to be restricted to the US? Could they put them around the world and have a permanent, marker? Right. Is there a point to put them around the world, or is it just tied into our benchmarks?
Right. Right. Yeah, I've got a longer answer for you. I did want to mention why I put in there the Missouri one, and I'm going to start I'll put all the ones I have as far as the active geocaches. I'll put the GCs in there. Reese said the Arizona one is archived. Now, the thing with that is, see if I maybe should I word this correctly. Benchmarks cannot be archived. Benchmarks can be removed and they're gone, but the benchmark for Arizona is, I think, still there. I think what they mean is the nearest geocache to the Arizona benchmark is archived. So I mean, we want to make sure
that's a perfect opportunity for somebody to put a virtual there with the new ones out.
If they can,
everybody's looking for ideas. Mm-hmm. That's going to be a good one. You get a lot of favorite points on that one, I'm sure.
Yeah, if the Arizona one is, because you got now there is another, because I'm seeing that it's not archived, because remember there's two, basically every one of them has an archived and a non-archived. So I think that so Josh is right. There is a new, and I just put it in the show notes. There is a new, and I'll pull that one up because it's kind of cool. They have a good photo of that one. So let me share my screen, and I'll show you the benchmark for that one. So, is this there? Yeah, this is the Arizona one. So this is the Arizona benchmark.
Mm-hmm. That's a cool
right
one.
There. Yeah, it's and that gives you a good photo too. Or I mean, there's plenty of photos out there of them, but they use the logo.
And what's this? Oh no, is that the one you just put in the cords?
Yeah, this is the one. GC? This is the GC A4QFX. Yeah. This is in Arizona. This one was published in 2023, July of 2023. So, it's only been found twice. So it is truly a lonely. What's
the terrain and difficulty on this thing?
It's just like a 3.
Oh, 3 terrain though in Arizona. Is this the Arizona?
Yeah, I guess 3 terrain. Yeah, they put some parking points
so it's a little bit of a hike, it looks like.
Yeah, I was going to go back out and look. It's southeast of Flagstaff, so if you're out there for GeoWoodstock, you might make a little.
This may get a lot of finds on it coming up.
Yeah, hopefully they do. Yeah, there's really only the FTF and the second to find on that one. So, and they got you couple different parking areas you could pick from. There's a 4-wheel drive parking spot, in case you're curious or into you can handle a 4-wheel drive. Some people can't, so go to the 2-wheel drive parking locations. They said the cache is a good size ammo can, same container as the original cache. There's a parking waypoint for 4x4 vehicles and for 2-wheel drive. I mountain biked 10 miles round trip from the main forest road. How you get here is for you to figure out. So
that's pretty cool. That's a cool cache, but the project itself, it may very well never be revived, right? The odds are this project is not going to be revived. It would take a lot of people to do it, but let's say people decided they were going to do it. I guess it would have to be a group of people in every state reaching out, but I guess if they've already talked to the state, and all these other states, they probably have counterparts, for each state that they could get a hold with pretty quickly to get this project approved.
That's an interesting thought, though, is back in 2008, I can kind of see where you might be able to.
Seems like it might be easier now in 2024 to get a hold of it. I thought
it'd be harder because we don't really, we have satellites. I mean, they had satellites in 2008, but I'm saying, is there somebody in a state government? I assume, like you're assuming also, that there's a state government official.
It falls under somebody's purview. They had to get permission. It still has to be a thing out there. Somebody still has to be in charge of that organization, right? And that means in each state. It's got to be. I would think it'd be easier now to get permission for something like this than it was to even find the people in 08.
Yeah, I'm sure Charles would know, being a member of or working for the Bureau of Land Management. I'm assuming that the Bureau of Land Management has some cross communications with some of the geodetic folks, because if somebody wants to remove one, I'm sure that, well, I'm not sure. I assume if they want to properly remove a geodetic survey, they got to get permission. And if they get permission,
it's all kinds of permission for that.
There's got to be somewhere, where
if you mount anything permanently like this, and have it logged through their website, it's going to take a lot of red tape. But I think once that red tape is done, the biggest thing would be, like, I looked at mine, the one that's in my state.
Yeah, the Florida
one. It's
I'll put, while you're talking about that one, I'm going to pull it up I'm going to put the chords for folks so they.
The person who has the cache listed in my state,
play along at home.
Nearby one, which is why I couldn't get it. It's inside the visitor center. It was closed when I went there.
Yeah.
They haven't logged in since February of 2022, and all their other caches are archived. So,
wow,
that cache is one that's probably not going to make it much longer, right?
It's a zombie cache.
Zombie cache right now, unless somebody else is running it. That's a different person that's not listed there.
Right.
It'd be a zombie cache.
Yeah. 630 favorite points. It's got some. And it's out there since 2009. So it's one of the older of the bunch that has again, we're talking about the cache near the benchmark. I don't want to confuse people. So it's not the benchmark itself.
Right.
There's a cache at the benchmark. So
they're saying that Minnesota Boy's saying that they were never actually listed by the USGS as far as he knows. So they took a record of them, but they weren't listing them they're not using them as a new benchmark. They were just keeping a record of them somewhere. Is that how that worked?
Yeah, there are records. You can go find where there was actually recorded, because I think he was saying was it ever recorded by the USGS? And I've got one that I found as far as in the records. So if you want to go find this on I'm posting the chat room. That is an official U.S. Geological Survey code, the CZ1865-1903. And what I love about these, and I think you probably would love these too, Jesse, in the fact that they are, when you start reading, and I'm sure you've done this too, when you start reading the logs on a benchmark, they sound to me like letterboxes.
Yeah, they're a lot like it.
Turn right, travel east along Maggie Road for 1.55 miles to the end of the street and a parking area. Park east of the hiking trail for about a quarter mile to the second ridge. I mean, it sounds very letterbox. Yeah. This ridge has a large rock outcrop projecting about 75 feet. Park north along ridge passing to either side of the outcrop. I mean, it's like that. It's kind of like a treasure map, right? It
is.
To get to X marks the spot, So, yeah, I guess So, I guess, is that the way I should have put it in that way? CZ186, or is that just, I wasn't sure how that's.
I guess that brings up a good point, right? If they're a marker that was part of the game, geocaching, peripherally, but it was still part of the game.
Yep.
And those benchmarks really aren't used now. They're a historical thing that, was out there or whatever. They're not really tied to our game. They're not,
It's a good question.
I wonder if you even do a project that ties in now. Because remember, benchmarks were part of the game then, they're not now. So if you want this project to go forward, keeping it looking like a benchmark is cool. I mean, that's a cool design.
Yeah, it was cool.
But do you change that and alter that to be like, it's like the Cache Across America, a permanent location marking geocache in each and every state? That's really what it is now, right? It's not even a benchmark for real. It's none of those things, and you can't get credit for it. So, is there a way that you would shape a project like this instead of keeping it? The original intent was awesome when it was happening, but doesn't really tie into anything now. So do you just look to put a permanent marker in each state? It's kind of like a benchmark how they do, because they know benchmarks are going to last for a long time. Still a cool project, but if you're going to do that, do you just do one in each state? Do you
just for
figure out where it's hard to get to? Is it just a cool thing to do, like a Cache Across America, but a permanent version of it?
I would think if you're going to do one, you'd want to coincide it with a virtual or a traditional. I mean, I think you would want to try to do a combo platter for those.
Yeah. I think you definitely want it to be with some, and I would vote for virtual just because cache maintenance and everything else, right?
Exactly.
Potential, but would it be something that's what's the end, I guess, of that? If a group started this now, what's the end of that? Do you put them in all 51 and then try to put it in other countries? Because it's not really it's not an actual benchmark anyway. Do you just make it a permanent location cache? Is that,
I've got
where would you go with it?
I've got a couple notes on that. One is what I found was also triangulation stations is the one I was trying to think of earlier. Those are the non-US ones. Apparently that they are still used, and this makes sense, is that what's the thing that is I wouldn't say constantly, but it's always being done in the US, and that's surveys. People are always getting surveys done. So surveyors will use benchmarks as a point of reference because they're permanent, they're not just I like the fact that certain ones are sort of fun to find because they have the one in DC is sort of is in the ground and has the little Washington Monument on top of it. It's kind of a clever little doodad. I always mention the one I've mentioned before when we did the benchmark show was the one I found and you found in Colorado, which is the one at the state capitol where the actual geodetic survey disc is not very far from the engraved 1 mile high.
Right.
And so it's like you got to give credit to the people. That was 1870s or whatever when they built the state capitol, probably, or at least the foundations for it, for Denver. And it's not far, so it's like they're not far off. They were pretty good surveyors. Those folks knew their stuff. Hats off to the surveyors that we've had over the course of the years because they
surveying is still a thing. It's just not tied to our game, is what.
No longer tied,
I guess.
So
it has no relevance. I understand that some people use it, but it has no relevance to us anymore.
No,
except waymarking.
Oh yeah, I didn't want to bring up the W word.
I know, and we're gonna have a show on that soon, hopefully coming up. But there's several of them in the waymarking categories. There's a whole category for it.
Yeah. I think all of them have a waymark.
Oh,
I'm sure they
are. Most of them do.
Multiple
that
waymarks.
Was one way to search for them in the past when you're trying to find them. Benchmarks. That's the way to do it. Somebody already found them at that point and made them into one. But it counted then. So I guess the relevance is what I question on this project. It sounds cool initially. Go and find. I mean, I want to go find all the ones that are out there without a doubt.
Yeah, right. Because
I tried to find the one that's close to me, but it was one of those visitor center points to the final.
Yeah,
it was Saturday or Sunday or something like that. So but I think it's a cool idea. Would there be any value in moving it forward? I don't know that part, but it may be just that it's cool that there's only 5 or 6 of them out there.
Yeah, it's clever. I mean, it's an anomaly, and I kind of like anomalies. Like I mentioned before, finding when we talked about this, people have done them in. Well, and there was a success, which was ape caches that have gone missing. Are they really gone? Are they out there and nobody can find them anymore? I mean, is there a giant ammo can in Georgia that's in this park that is now, covered up, and what I'm saying, it's like, are there treasures out there like the one that went missing in Washington? It wasn't found. It was muggled, and it wasn't too far from where it was. So it was found. It was able to be recycled. It was fixed up and put back. So, those are anomalies. The one in Brazil, clearly, was a perfect storm of where they put it, because where it's at, is sort of, no muggle's going to get there unless you're going there. So that's kind of, to me, those projects are kind of unique and sort of, I don't know, they have sort of a flair of adventure to them that if you find this kind of thing, it's,
and it would stop, unless somebody just really brought some serious materials, it would stop vandalism or theft for sure. This kind of permanent marker would.
Well,
I guess you could dig it up, but
yeah, well, and I hate to mention, we placed a permanent marker that was gone, and I know Ryan's working on replacing, but we had a nice, what we thought was permanent marker at Mingo, and some vandals.
Well, and from that project, how much it takes to deal with the state and everything else.
Yeah, state
Ryan's
and the county.
More local down there, but it's a lot to do, right?
Yeah, he spent a good amount of time.
Anywhere, it's a lot to do.
Yeah, he went through both the state and the county, and basically both of them said, if the other one's okay with it, then you can do it. And so they're like, so Ryan had to juggle talking to the state and talking to the county. Eventually, when he got the state's permission, if the county was okay with it, so we went back to the county, and the county told the county people the state's okay with it. So the county said, go ahead and place it. So that's what.
Yeah. Imagine doing that 51 times.
Oh my gosh. Yes.
So here's what I'll say.
Okay.
I know we're going to run out of time here.
Yeah, we're getting close. Yeah.
Initially, I think when this was coming out, it was an awesome idea and an awesome project.
Oh yeah.
I think it'd be super cool if they'd have finished all of them, and got them all done. There's one in every state. You could go find a cache across America.
Yes.
I think now, with the relevance of benchmarks being gone,
yeah.
I think now it's a project that's better left as it is. 5 of them out there makes an extremely unique thing to go find. There'll always be somebody that has a geocache at these locations, right? And it's a permanent marker, and the fact that it's rare keeps it interesting.
Yes.
The fact that it's permanent means you can find them for a long time.
Yeah.
You probably, with only 5 of them, or if you have one in other countries too, but with only amount of 5 or 6, you really can't do much of a challenge related to it. So you don't have to go that direction. But I think it'd be things that people want to get all 5 of, right?
Yeah. Oh,
it's
absolutely.
Cool, unique. I think it's better as a unique situation than it would be as a 51 states situation.
Yeah. And I do want to mention, and I still, when I want information about, if I've got, and again, you can log these still, you just don't get credit on geocaching.com.
You can't log them on geocaching though.
Right. Whereas we used to, which sad that they don't let us do that anymore.
So yeah, Tiger Eye.
Go ahead.
So he said the benchmarks are gone for as far as geocaching goes. Do they still serve a purpose for NGS? And I think that's what we kind of alluded to earlier, that people still use them as permanent markers. While GPS is out there, the surveyors still use them. So
yeah, and I've
updated in for those surveyors, right?
I haven't read this article yet on their website, so I put the website, and I'll put it in the show notes too. It's in case anybody's interested to read about. It's the NGS ngs.noaa.gov, and that has the National Geodetic Survey information. Apparently, on their front page, and go back, there's some sort of project, some sort of research plan, learning more about the NGS research plan. So I don't know what their plan is, but something's listed there. So
again, I understand why it is. I really wish they would open these back up, but modernize it where there's a way to find these, right?
Yeah.
And by they, I mean geocaching. HQ would open it back up. Now, having said that, that's from a selfish perspective that I would want to do it. I also understand that that's a lot of resources for only people in the U.S.
Mm-hmm.
Even though this is, kind of the home of it. I could see how they would say, we're going to work on global things first before we do this. And all these people can't do it. But at the same time, people have to come to the U.S. to find a lot of things, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like HQ.
Right.
Bingo. There's a lot of things that are only here in the U.S. because,
they're only here in the U.S.
That's where it started. So
where it is,
where it was the heaviest for the longest time.
Yeah.
So kind of pushing back on that, I would say, oh, look. Minnesota boys all over these.
Yeah, it's Minnesota, Wisconsin.
Look at all those.
Arizona, you need Massachusetts too. Maybe.
I think that one never got there.
It sounded like it was put in the ground.
Who knows? That's something somebody can figure out, right?
I'll give I tell you what, if somebody can, they'll have to go there and they'll have to prove to me that they're actually there. You can't do any photoshopping, because I'll figure it out. I'm good at that. But you're going to have to prove to me that you're going to have to like pull up the show and take a screenshot of you right next to the benchmark in Massachusetts, because I'll give you a prize. If you send Jesse and I a photo of you at the Massachusetts one, then I will get your mailing address and I'll send you a prize for. So there you go. There's an assignment. Somebody go find the one at Mount Greylock. I guess when the weather's better. Maybe, I don't know what the weather's currently in Massachusetts, but don't kill yourself going there.
I'm going to stay cold.
Yeah, but drive up to that memorial and honor the folks there for that memorial, and take a picture of snowing. And okay, cool. Thanks, Direct 2. Yeah, definitely have them go up there. And now the other trick too, and I know Jesse, you know this better than I. I've hunted, but you've really hunted for benchmarks.
Mm-hmm.
They're not necessarily in the locations that you think they are.
No, they're not.
Mostly, right?
Yeah. So that is a perfect segue into the question I want to ask you.
Okay.
And you can whatever you think with it. So,
go for it.
2-part question.
Okay.
Is this project worth the effort for a group to continue in its current form or any other form? And related to this, should HQ revamp and spend the time to revamp and bring benchmarks back out and applicable to the game?
I would say yes and yes.
Okay.
I like benchmarks. I don't like them like some people. Like we had the benchmark blasters.
Yeah.
So grateful that we had her on the show. I like
They're
them.
Like experts in this. They were
yeah. I don't love them, but I do like them. You can put a virtual at a benchmark. That's kind of a cool thing.
Yeah.
I think. I mean, between
more things you can do. I had a where I go with benchmarks. You know what I mean? You can do a lot of stuff with them.
Yeah. So in a sense, you can use that permanent spot in the game, in the sport of geocaching today. You can use that. It's just not it's all secondary now. And yes, I think it would be cool to bring benchmarks back. Problem is, one of the things is, you remember the days when it was easy to log?
They could redo that now, and
they could.
What I would say is, we kind of hit the top of the hour here.
We're about to be done. Like Waymarkly, we have Waymarkly by Cashly.
Yeah, this project would not be. This project is not worth doing unless HQ brought back benchmarks and made them more relevant to the game. Then I think it makes a lot of sense. It's worth the effort. Yep. And now I say this project's not worth completing in its current form. If you want to update it for something new now, yeah, it'd be awesome, right? I'm all about permanent markers for geocaching, but Waymarkly it's got some benchmarks in it. That app is great, but I don't care about waymarking. That's why I don't use that one.
I'm similar.
Now, benchmarking, I think it could be a great addition to the game. It even could theoretically be icons, whatever else, but it would have to be where you showed a picture of it. I understand why they don't bring it back out. Also,
I do too.
And the other thing is, unless somebody goes to every one of these, it could now be you would be sending somebody to private property. So that's not a good plan.
You'd have to put a lot of red warnings that not all benchmarks.
Cachers don't do that. To be the first one, they cut through fences and tear stuff up all the time. So you would almost need to only put the ones out that have been confirmed.
Yeah, you'd have to say you have to go to this list to be approved. These are not approved. Yeah, I think so.
I see the problems with it, but I think it's a cool idea, and they're already out there. So it'd be something. If you could tie something cool to it, it would be fun.
Like Kashak Mel said, and glad she's feeling better. She was not feeling better. She said to you can call the Undertaker back, tell him not to come up. She's feeling better. So that's good. I think we've all been there. It's like, call off the Gravedigger. I'm going to make it. So she's better. But she said that Adventure Lab, we should have mentioned that. Adventure Labs is a good way to revive benchmarks because apparently somebody used it for their stages.
Yeah, that'd be enough. You can tie any cache type to it, I think,
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But depending on the area or whatever. But benchmarks is kind of an adjacent thing, and it's kind of in the past. But I do wish it would make a return, just like this project. This would make this project a lot better if benchmarks are still a thing, right?
Yep. Is that your final thought?
Yeah. We could talk all day about them, but I know.
You're fine.
There's a lot of work. It would be a lot of work for anybody to do either one of these things, though. So
no, you're exactly right. So my final thought, I've got a couple of things I wanted to mention, is that if you've never found a benchmark before, again, make sure you're not on private property. Number one. Number two is take a look around, and there's some really cool benchmarks in the U.S. that are available to be found and kind of neat. Like I mentioned, the one in Denver. I think that one's kind of cool because you walk up the steps of the Capitol and it says 1 mile high, and then right above it, I think it's right above it, it's either two steps above or 2 steps below, you get the survey marker, which I think is cool. There are several of those. There's the other one I wanted to mention is that some of them are in really cool locations, and that's what we love about geocaching.
Mm-hmm.
So the Geodesic Center of the U.S. is on private property, but which is kind of a bummer. But there is a marker, not a benchmark one, but there is a marker near that in a parking lot that you can go to, that you can kind of, it's kind of cool. It's like there was a key for Cache Fest. It was hidden at the center of Texas, or the what do you call it? It was like the geographical center, and I don't know the math of that, but anyway, the geographical center of Texas, there's a historical marker there, and I put a key near there because it's just kind of clever. So I mean, I think that I think people should still find them. I think that it's problematic. Like you said.
I would use waymarks if you're going to hunt one. That way, it's already safe to go to.
Yes, and even double check on top of that. I mean, don't cross a fence unless you know for sure what you're doing, or you have permission. So, but they're kind of cool. And I look forward to seeing the picture of the Massachusetts one. If you're in Iraq, we have listeners all over the world. If you're in Iraq and you're safe and you want to go find the one in Iraq, I will post the notes about that in the show notes. You can go hunt that one.
There you go.
If you want. So, all right. Well, thanks everybody. Hope that was fun. And, send us any photos. The one that'll get a prize, you can send us some photos anytime. We love hearing from folks. Send us an email, geocachetalk@gmail.com, and send us pictures of yourself at one of these. And if you do the Massachusetts one, I will send you a prize. So there you go. All right. We'll say good night, and we'll see y'all down the road. See you next Sunday. Good night, everybody.
May your finds be many, and your DNFs be few. May the terrain and difficulty both be less than 2. And whatever it is you're looking for, may it find its way to you. And may we all meet again.
Folks, we hope you've enjoyed the show tonight. Please email us your comments at geocachetalk@gmail.com. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. The show can be found on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Radio Public, or Spotify, as well as at the Geocache Talk website. Don't forget to click that subscribe button below and ring that bell notification so that you can see and hear the show on a weekly basis. And tell your friends about the show. Get them involved with us in the chat room. And until next week, don't just talk about geocaching, go geocaching.